should be a relatively simple lead-in without all the stress that we normally see.
Sepka's sitting towards the back after having been at the front. Warbash left-hand side there. This is Valentin Paquet-Peintre. I'm interested in that line of Soudal quick-step riders there that was led by Mikel Landa, who's doing that positioning job. And again, it's difficult to see. I mean, we haven't seen too much of Dainese in a Soudal quick-step jersey yet, have we, since he moved? But I'm trying to see if that was him.
Yes, well, we see the way they're in a group there of about, what, 4 or 5 riders. So it looks like he could be in there in that bubble of Soudal quick-step men. And yeah, if he's in there, it'll be an interesting one. Of course, when we see the climb, it wasn't that super aggressive, the climb, so maybe he got over.
You're looking for the number 122, and that could well be him there. Second back rider. Well, I think that is him. I think Alberto Dainese has made it in. I'm getting the thumbs up from his former sports director. So that is big news. We are discovering those who've been hiding. So we know that Kokau, Hofstetter are there. Aulard as well. Dainese has made it. We know that Van Aert, Brennan and Laporte are still there for Visma. They hold the key to this at the moment. Paul Michele was second the other day. There are sprinters left to have a go on the banks of the River Ebro.
And a good opportunity. A reduced group, the positioning should be a little bit easier, moving into the sprint especially. I think coming into the sprint as well, not as many sprinters in there, the likes of Pedersen, the likes of Groves. They've got a great chance at this, even with Brennan, Laporte and Van Aert still in that group.
Well, I think this finish and the final corner will probably suit the men who are not really as fast as probably Brennan, but they will be banking on, you know, getting into that final corner in a real good position, and that's where Visma Lease bike has to be careful. You know, we could get a team who really dive bomb into that final corner and they can cut you off and cause a lot of problems. And also, you know, if you have a team that can have 3 or 4 riders together, and you know, Soudal Quickstep are the riders who can do that, although they're not really the perfect lead out men here when you look at the riders they've got, but still, you know, they can do it. And if they do that, well, then they could cause you problems. They could also, you know, take a rider into the corner and leave a gap open, and with the short run to the finish, that's also one. So it's going to be an important one for the rider and the team with the fastest man, Brennan, in here. Visma have to, you know, really get it perfect and keep that pace just rapid high in that final 1.5 kilometres.
Well, Dorothy Meus, of course, has won a stage of the Tour de France before on no less than the biggest boulevard in the world for sprinters, the Champs-Élysées. Can he do it again here on a Grand Tour and on the Vuelta? It's just his 4th Grand Tour. He's 28 now, and he is in that line of Red Bull jerseys led by Primož Roglic at the minute. Roglic, who was just in conversation with Mikel Landa at the moment. Landa today he's piloting in a sprint train. Something new for Mikel Landa for now.
Just a little remark to make here. I'm sure they're not going to do it because it's the Vuelta, but with Visma coming into this final, a narrow final, a simple one, but they're all aiming for 2 corners. Cast your mind to a few years back when a certain Olaf Koy let the wheel of Wout van Aert go leading into a corner with about 600 to go. There's an opportunity with them 2 sprinters in here, especially Laporte and Van Aert. They might throw a little bit of a curveball.
That's something that you just suggested, I think, as well, Sean.
Exactly. I think this final, you know, with the riders that are here, we haven't, you know, a lot of the sprint teams who's going to be fighting for position, because the ones out there, you know, they don't have that big manpower to keep the pace real high. So it could be a one where it's not as fast as you would like. And yeah, you know, Visma Lease bike, if they can really get it together, but we can see here they're investing quite a bit in the last number of kilometres. So to keep this going and really up the pace, I think they could get crowded out by teams that are just waiting in the background. And you know, you look at some of the smaller teams who have pretty fast men, they could be the ones who could cause problems here. Like if, you know, Group Armour, for example, some of those teams, they might have a man in there who feel, yeah, if he gets the right position into that final corner, they can win it as well.
I've just seen appearing at the front of the bunch, who knows all about positioning and bike handling, and he's got a kick and turn of speed. Thibaut Ness is the man for Lidl Trek, who might want to have a go as well, certainly with Mars Pedersen out of the game. Pogačar being moved up to the left-hand side. We saw on the right-hand side of the picture a moment ago, it was NSN. They're there with Hugo Hofstetter. They have a few riders, and the trains are now beginning to form with 3.5 kilometers to go. Destination Roquetes, a town of just 8,000 people, and it is waiting on the side of the riverbank. Tortosa is to be passed through first, and of course when we get there we'll be ready for those final corners and the twists and the turns on the way in. It's building up to a big explosion of power at the end of a hard day. There's congratulations for what was done, I think, yesterday. Jarno Vidar in conversation with the man from Visma, who is Jürgen Nordhagen. Now 3Ks to go, and suddenly, Sean, this has exploded into life.
Yes, well, inside the 3 kilometers to go, you have to get the pace going here, and if you have two teammates with you there, or plus, you have to just really invest and keep your man to the front here. And yeah, it's been a relatively slow burner in the last number of kilometers, but now it's going to go full on into this final 2.6k.
And Uno X are there with 2.5 kilometers to go. A reminder that the two big right turns are what they're looking at. Ness moves up for Lidl. They're also thinking about avoiding splits in the general classification. Remember, Jordi Meus is there ready and waiting for Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. Can he add a Vuelta stage to that he's won at the Tour de France? And Rasmus Tiller is the man to have a go, it seems, for Uno X. The former Norwegian champion is there. Cofidis moving their main man, Brian Kokar, into position. It's all getting quite chaotic here, Sean. 50 k's an hour, 2 k's to go.
Yes, and it's very, very packed here, and not enough room to move up. We can see, some of the riders just getting a little bit of squeeze out there, trying to get through, and you can see more riders trying to make it up here. But yeah, Uno X are the ones who are in a real good position, and we can see Visma also in a great position here.
It's Wout van Aert, Christophe Laporte, Matthew Brennan in that order. Brennan has won the only fast finish we've had so far, but that was chaotic. That was conditioned by splits and a climb. This could be equally as chaotic, but it's on the flat after a nervous day. Uno X still keeping the pace high. Bernard is on the right-hand side in that multicolored jersey, trying to see if he can position Ness. And at the back, it's hang on and make sure you avoid the splits if you can. 1.4 kilometers to go, and they're on their way to that next right turn that will come just before 200 meters to go. A look around to survey the damage. Albanese moves up in the pink. You've got Meus looking after himself now for Red Bull. Again, it's not the usual managed big train stuff.
No, it's not the usual, but we can see Visma have a good train here. Like, we have 3 riders in front of Matthew Brennan here, and they're going to keep the pace high. Although this is a Uno X man in the front, so he's got 2 men in front of him, and this is the perfect lead out inside the final kilometre.
Dainese moving up in that multicoloured jersey for Soudal Quickstep. Laurence is the man for Net Company Ineos, who's going to have a go. 800 metres to go. You've got Tiller, who's going to follow on after the good work from his teammate. It's now Wout van Aert at the front for Visma Lease Bike. They're ready to go if they can manage the positions. On the wheel of Brennan, they're fighting for it, and winning that fight at the minute is Jordi Meus of Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. 2 wheels behind, you've got Luis Aular as well. Brat, I think, is up there for Lotto in about 10th position. The final right turn is coming up. Wout van Aert peels off. He stays there to be in the way, and this now is Christophe Laporte. Laporte taking them to 200 metres to go. He looks behind. Laporte is there. They're ready to launch the sprint. Brennan is in pole and prime position to go. It's Matthew Brennan who launches. The man in yellow is at the front. Jordi Meus behind, but no one can get near. Brennan bags a second. It's another victory for the Briton on his Grand Tour debut. And in 2 sprints, he is unbeaten. And there was never, ever any doubt.
No, well, we could see there, inside the final kilometre, the way Visma were faring it, a perfect job for Matthew Brennan. And we see Laporte leading into that final corner and just continuing on there. You could see Brennan just having a look around to see where the rest were waiting. And then when he kicked, Jordi Meus was just in the wheel, but never challenged.
It is Matthew Brennan who wins for the 2nd time at this Vuelta España. The first full bunch sprint, almost, still lacking a few competitors, but he is the best of those who were there. And Visma Lease Bike have controlled to perfection. They win their 2nd stage out of the